me keep playing. I don't want to keep you too long, but this is really interesting, getting the play-by-play.
Yeah.
So should I
So here
stop it
you can
here?
see how
Okay.
we're applying it to the components, for example, to show you how they were kind of plain before, but now with dynamic color, they have a lot more expression. They pop, and then if you play it a little more, you'll see what happens when we apply a new palette.
Yeah, I mean, I see so many colors in here, right? I'm so curious. So, obviously, we're also a podcast, right? So, it might need to be a little bit more verbose when we're speaking. Everybody's looking at
Sure.
the video, so no, it's not a thing against you. So, like, I do see, like, obviously, there's a white background on a lot of this stuff, but then there's blue on some pieces, there's green on some pieces. So these are
Well,
like,
one thing I will say is that it's not a white background, Alan. It is actually an off-white background that is tinted towards the color palette.
see,
So
now
it
you see why I always
harmonizes
get
even
yelled at
better.
by my designer, right?
No, I mean, because it's one of those almost imperceptible things where,
Mm,
again, it gives a feeling without being in your face. Like the fact that, I mean, I don't know if you've ever painted a house, but have you had to choose a white for a wall before? There are many, many, many different whites, and some of them
yeah.
are green a bit or pink a bit. We are now kind of bringing that to people also. I mean, that is very difficult for people to do themselves. To have an algorithm do that can make it beautiful kind of more automatically. And of course, the reverse is true in dark theme, where you're making the change on black or on charcoal.
So what would you call this? Like to me, I mean, coming from a bootstrap background, like I look at the dark green that you have over here on the OK button. That's like a primary color, but this blue is like a what would you even call that? Like, do you have a name for these different types of shades and
I'm
things?
I'm not positive if the blue one is secondary or if the blue one is tertiary, but I believe that our designers have been actually experimenting with the idea of having a tertiary color because some designers, in fact, many designers have been asking for even more options and even more expressivity. I'm pretty sure that this one is secondary, but and then the ones that are lighter are container. We've heard that one of the things people are asking for is more colors that are to define spaces but aren't in your face the same way that a primary color is. If you look at the OK button inside the time picker there, it's very, very bold. But if you look at the action button inside the dialogue, it is not as bold. So they're both based off of the same color in different luminosities so that you can have um, ways of kind of screaming at people and ways of slightly talking to people. Because I think one of the things that about material from 2014 was that it was screaming at people a lot. Like
Yeah.
everything was primary color or accent color, as we called it back then,
Mm.
and people got used to it. But it was very strong choices. I think being able to whisper as often as you're yelling is important to sound like a person and to have a human connection. And that's what we're trying to do with design as well.
Let me keep playing this. So you also show more interesting. Yeah, basically, I guess this is the dynamic part, right?
This is the dynamic part. This is um, how with different palettes, it looks different ways. Now it's blue, yellow is the secondary color here, and this just goes with the personalization that a person has chosen. And it's really wonderful because when I play with it and I use it on my phone, I just get such delight out of this feeling that things that I thought I had no control over. I mean, there's such a personal device, phones and stuff like that, but in many ways, they're all the choices inside them were made by somebody else, except for which apps I have and in what order they are. Um, where the icons and stuff like that. This is a chance for me to really be in charge of the thing that I've spent a lot of money on and that I spend so much time in. Would people like it if they weren't able to paint any of the rooms that they lived in? I mean, now that especially in pandemic life where we live and work in the same place, for me not to be able to put up wallpaper here would be really frustrating. Although I don't know if my landlord knows that I did put up wallpaper, but hopefully he's not watching. So this is kind of essentially the same thing. It's being able to style your world to go along with what pleases you, and for us to kind of help you do that automatically, so that you don't have to think about it. Um, I've and in Android as in the wallpaper app, they've also I forget if this is going to make it or not, but but they're also looking at, are there like just out of the box suggestions that we can make? I mean, we have these wonderful illustration and photography teams that supply really gorgeous images that we know are going to make great wallpaper, great color palette choices because they're so vivid or they're so exciting. We are trying to give people those suggestions just as much as we're giving people the ability to upload the picture of their child instead. Um, so we're it's a great time for choice as well as for inspiration.